Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. It is Tuesday night. It is time for grandstanding with Mother Teresa. Grab a friend, grab a loved one, tell them to tune in for grandstanding with Mother Teresa. And let's see what we're going to talk about tonight. I give you a little time to come on in. Giving you a little bit of time to come on in. Get your popcorn or whatever you're gonna need, and come on in. Let's grandstand for a little while. It's time to grandstand with Mother Teresa. Mark your calendars, Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Unless there is a notification that there will be a change, I will be grandstanding with you each and every Tuesday night, unless something comes up and I have to cancel. Hello, everyone. This is Mother Teresa grandstanding with you on a Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Tonight, we're going to talk about dreams and aspirations. And so, as we talk about our dreams and our aspirations, the question will be asked to you, to share some of your dreams. Share some of the aspirations that you either have now or had when you were a child. And so I want to start by saying, again, I am a licensed social worker. However, when I am grandstanding, I am just sharing strategies and some tips and my experiences. I'm not standing in the stance of a social worker. I'm not here to give professional advice. I may talk about my job and my duties a little bit, but it's just for the conversation. It's not to give any advice. So don't walk away from here and say, I visited with my therapist on tonight. Her name is Mother Teresa, and she advised me to do this. That is not the purpose of grandstanding. The purpose of grandstanding is just to share my everyday experiences with you, some strategies, and hopefully some things that make you go, okay? So if I do that, then my job is well done. So tonight, what are some of the dreams? What are some of the aspirations that you have, or the dreams and aspirations that maybe you had as a young child? And I always have my notes. I plan out each session, and so I will have my notes. So if I'm looking over to the left or to the right, I'm just glancing at my notes because I want to make sure that I share with you everything that I have prepared for you. When you think about dreams, or if you're like me, when you think about dreams, you think about things that it's going to take some effort. A dream is something that when we think about, it takes some effort. And sometimes some of us dream really, really big. And that's quite all right. If it's something that you can do on your own, it may not necessarily be a dream. It just may be a desire or whatever. But I think about the dreams and I think about the aspirations that I've had down through the years. And I know that it was nobody but by the grace of God that I've been able to achieve some of the things that I dreamed about. And I'm going to just tell you, I'm a little girl that grew up in Oak Hill Plaza. And if you looked at my December smiles today, I share some of the things that are some of the pictures of my past memories in Oak Hill Plaza. So a little girl growing up in the projects for a long time by being raised by a single mom with lots of children. My dreams were not very big. You know, I had dreams of doing great things. And when I say great things, I knew that I wanted to be a person that worked with other people. I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know it was called a social worker. I just knew that I wanted to work with people. And let me tell you, growing up in Oak Hill Plaza, or if you're listening to me and if you grew up in Oak Hill Plaza, hey, identify yourself. We called it Burgess Hill back then. But growing up, some of my neighbors, and especially some of the older neighbors that I, frequently visited, one of my neighbors was Miss Mabel. Miss Mabel was my downstairs neighbor, elderly lady who lived by herself. Miss Mabel didn't have any children, so a lot of times it was the people that lived in like our little fourplex. So if you don't know anything about Oak Hill Plaza, let me just kind of give you an idea of what Oak Hill Plaza looked like. Oak Hill Plaza was a building that had 8 different units in it. It had on one side, it had 4 units in the complex, the little area that we lived. And then on the other side, it had 4 units as well. It was 2 units upstairs, 2 units downstairs. And then you go to the other side of the same building, which I grew up in, apartment building 400. The apartment that we lived in was 405, and my husband actually lived in 408. So he lived in the same building, but down on the other section of the building. So in our little section, in our fourplex where I lived, there was an elderly neighbor that we called. Her name was Miss Mabel. And Miss Mabel was kind of like the grandma. Of course, I had a grandma, had 2 grandmas during my lifetime and a great grandmother. But Miss Mabel was our community grandmother that was right there. And on Boris's side, he had a grandmother on his side as well. But Miss Mabel, I would oftentimes go and visit with Miss Mabel. And I would listen to Miss Mabel, and Miss Mabel, she would share, just some of the things that that had happened in her lifetime. She talked about her family. She talked about growing up. But Miss Mabel also talked about some of the difficulties that she was having as being a single person, as being elderly, also as being somewhat disabled. Now, Miss Mabel could walk, but I think she used like a walker. So her mobility was limited. And my mom did a lot for Miss Mabel. A lot of times Miss Mabel would need things from the store, or she would want to go maybe out for like a fish dinner or different things like that. Well, my mom was one of the people who would actually, transport Miss Mabel. So we spent a lot of time at Miss Mabel's house. And Miss Mabel, again, like I said, she was older. I don't remember how old Miss Mabel was. I really don't. I just know she was like a grandma to me. And a lot of times we would go in, we would sit with Miss Mabel and we would watch television with her. We may go in and maybe prepare her something or just do little things around the house for her as just being neighborly. But again, Miss Mabel would often talk about some of the things and some of the issues that she was having. If you lived in the projects already, you knew that money was scarce, okay? And Miss Mabel was just like everybody else. Money was scarce for her. And I would listen to her stories, and I would listen to the things that she would talk about. And I thought to myself, there's got to be something that someone can do for people like Miss Mabel. Now, I was thinking about Miss Mabel, but I wasn't necessarily thinking about myself. We're in the same situation. There's got to be something that somebody can do for people like us, like my family. But I thought about the Miss Mabels in my community, because there were a lot of Miss Mabels. There were a lot of Miss Everleens. That's my mom. There was a lot of Miss Everleens that lived in my community. And so, again, like I talked about earlier, the dreams. My dream was to get out of Oak Hill Plaza. That was one of the major dreams that I had growing up as a child, is that I knew that there was a better way, that there was a better life than what we were living. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. Not that I felt like our life was bad or the living was bad or anything like that, because everything that we needed, my mom ensured or made sure that we had. I can't remember ever having a time where we didn't have food to eat, or we didn't have clothes to wear, or we didn't have money to spend, or we didn't have, different things. It was a little while before we had a car. And so my mom would have to, catch a taxi or a cab or something like that. But I don't recall us really not having the things that we need. My mom worked, and my mom worked hard. She worked really hard, and she made sure that we had the things that she needed. And so the dream for me is that I did not want to live in Oak Plaza for the rest of my life. And I did not want to always have to work as hard as I saw my mom working. Because my mom worked really, really hard. A lot of times the work that she was doing, some of the work that she was doing at one time was equivalent to a job that a man would have. But because my mom knew that she had those children, and she had to feed us, and she had to clothe us, and she had to provide for us, that's the type of work that my mom did. And so I am forever grateful. I am forever grateful to my mom for the sacrifices that she made for us. And but my dream was to get out of there. My dream was to move to another side of town in Nacogdoches. And I don't want to call the place I don't want to say where it is that I wanted to live. But I had friends that lived in that area. And I thought that if I could just make it to the other side of town, if I could get out of Oak Plaza and make it to the other side of town, then I will have done what I dreamed of. And you all, let me just tell you, looking back at that now, and I've shared this with my husband and I've shared this with my family. Again, a little girl growing up in the projects, my dreams, I realize now, even though I had dreams of making it out, I didn't really have just those big, big dreams. And I don't know if it's because I was a little girl growing up in the projects and I didn't know that I could dream big, or what. I really don't know, but I do know that the dreams that I had was to have a family and to just move from where we were living to the other side of town. You're right, Candace, to the other side of town. If I could just make it to the other side of town, I would have arrived. But I look back and I think about that and I say, you know what, God, I am so very grateful. I am so very grateful that I serve a God who can absolutely and has absolutely given me dreams that I never would have imagined. He's allowed me to do things and to experience things that I never could have imagined. I couldn't dream that big. I really couldn't. And I'm not just talking about material things. I'm talking about just, a feeling of feeling safe, feeling secure, being comfortable in my own skin, and just having a sense of my dreams have really come true. Because it exceeded, and I know I'm kind of stumbling right now. I'm kind of stumbling right now because when I think about where God has brought me from and the things that he's allowed me to experience. And when I say me, I'm talking about my family. I'm just talking about the goodness of God, you all, and how he has really proven himself to me and my family. Again, I will say, and I say this again and again and again, is that sometimes our dreams are too small. Sometimes our dreams are too small. And sometimes God has to open your eyes and say, hey, you can actually do this on your own. But if you really want to experience something, let me step in and let me show you what I can do. And what that means for me, or what that meant for me, is that I had to give up the dream or the will that I had for me and say, God, it is in your hands. I yield myself to you for you to do any and everything that you want to do with me and my life. And I will be that testimony. I will share your goodness. I will share the great things, the amazing things that you've allowed me to experience in my life. And I know some of you all that are on here, you have the same testimony. You have the same testimony that I have, is that God has really allowed you to live your wildest dream. I had a young man that came to visit us. This has been a couple of years ago. And when I say I'm grateful, y'all, that's an understatement. I'm really, really grateful. And the young man that came to visit my home, or our home, he was sharing with me and my husband. He said, you all are living the life that I dreamed about as a little boy, or that people only dream about. And I said, really? And he said, yes, really, really. So I'm thankful. I'm not boastful. I am thankful. I am thankful for everything. I'm thankful for everything. So how do we get here? How do we get to where we are? How do we achieve the dreams that we have, either as an adult or as a child? First of all, you've got to do some work, okay? You've got to do some work. Again, like I said, the work may be just yielding to God and say, God, I yield everything to you. You take the reins and you do what you do, like nobody else can do but you. But the other part of that is that you've got to put in some work. One of the things that I knew, growing up in Oak Hill Plaza, I was a teenage mother. Me and my husband, we were teenage parents. And that alone was enough for some people to say, you know what? I just don't think she's going to make it. I just don't think they're going to make it. I don't think they can do what needs to be done to get out of here, okay? Or to make it whatever. But let me tell you, again, I serve a great God, but I also knew that I love school, and I knew that I love to read, I love to study. I was a good student, and I'm just like, you know what? I've seen other people leave from here and go to college, and they never look back. So that became my goal. That became my dream. Not that I wanted to leave Nacogdoches and never look back, but I knew my way out was to further my education. And so when I did that, was it a hard thing to do? Absolutely. Because guess what? When I graduated from high school, I had a little baby on my hip. When I went away, but when I started my freshman year at Stephen F. Austin, I had a baby. Okay. And so I was trying to manage being a teenage mom as well as trying to be a college student. It was so very hard. It was so very difficult. But I was dreaming, you all. Remember, I told you I had a dream. It may not have been a big dream, but I had a dream. And I also knew that for me and for my daughter, I wanted better. I wanted her to experience some things that I didn't experience. I did not want her to have to want for some of the things that maybe I wanted for. And it wasn't very much because, like I said, my mom made it happen for us. She made it happen for us. And I cannot discount the things that my mom made happen for us. I cannot. But going back to what I was saying, education was the key that I knew that I needed to have in order to achieve the goals. And let me just tell you, like I said, I was a good student. I was a good student in high school, but I quickly realized that when I started Stephen F. Austin, that I wasn't as prepared as I thought I should have been. So it was difficult. And after that first year, I'm like, this is too much for me. I was in school, I was working, and I was a teenage mom. And my mom was she believed that this is your child, you take care of it. Did she help me? Absolutely. But did she do it all for me and say, hey, leave your baby here and you go do whatever you want to do? Absolutely not. That was not happening in Miss Eigner's house. And so I took care of Ned. And so, and along with my husband, we did what we needed to do, along with help from the people at my church. Let me tell you, the Patton family, I love the Patton family. They were just like parents, godparents to Net when she was growing up. And of course, I can't forget about Randy and cousin Joanne. They helped me so much with Net. And I know there are other people, but those two families really just kind of stepped in and they helped me so much. She had her own baby. Listen, they helped me so much with Ned, and I also wanted to yeah, mama had her own baby, yes, because there's only like a 6-month age difference between Ned and my younger sister. But let me go back to this, you all. When I was in school and I was trying to do my best to make it out of there, after that first semester, I had to stop. I had to work full time and I had to then regroup and get myself back together. So when I dropped out of college, my goal was to drop out for a semester and then come back. Well, lots of different things happened after I dropped out of school, okay? That was probably when I was 18, 19 years old. At 20, I got Boris and I got married. So we began our family. I had to work and I started working. And guess what? It took me 10 years to finally decide to go back to school. But when that 10 years hit, because let me tell you, the job market was horrible in Nacogdoches. So I was not making a lot of money. And again, wanted to do better. Remember my goal, I was trying to get to the other side of town, okay? I was trying to get to the other side of town. But God, after that 10 years and I decided to go back to school, God blessed me to have a husband that stepped in and said, listen, go do your thing. I got these girls. And he took care of those girls and he let me, he encouraged me. He encouraged me to continue my education and to finish and get that degree. And let me just tell you, I didn't stop. I kept going. I kept going until I had 3 degrees up under my belt. And I can tell you all that without a shadow of a doubt that because I chose to do things like that, I believe that that is how one of the reasons why God has tremendously blessed me personally. Of course, I thank God for my husband, him having a great job that allowed me to take some jobs that didn't pay very much. But because of his income, we were able to survive. We were able to do more than survive. Because let me tell you, within maybe 9 months of Boris and I being married, we bought our first house. And I didn't make it to the other side of town, but I did make it out of the projects, okay? That was my first home that we bought. The second home that we bought was to the other side of town, but not where I was trying to get to. And then the third house is actually, we built our own house, our own home. We thought it was going to be our dream home. We were going to live out on those 12 acres in Appleby for the rest of our days. But God said, not so. I'm going to send you to Baytown. I had never heard of Baytown. Didn't know what a Baytown was. Didn't know what a Goose Creek was. But God said, go, and we came. I think the people thought that we had lost our mind for leaving Nacogdoches, for leaving the place of comfort, our refuge, our family. Because when we came to Baytown, you all, we didn't know anybody. We knew that God said go, and we came. And I have not looked back. A lot of times I feel guilty because I'm not in Nacogdoches and not close to my family and not close to my mom. But I know this is where God sent us. Because of the dreams and the aspirations that I had as a little girl, God needed to show me that I can do more than what you can even imagine, what you can even believe for. He needed to show me, and he needed to show my family that he has us. And God has provided for us. God has kept us. God has blessed us. We love Baytown. Sometimes things are a little bit difficult, but for the most part, this has been a place of blessing for the Call Pep North family. And so, as we talk about dreams and aspirations, my slogan tonight was "Dream big and achieve bigger." And that's exactly what God has done. Is that He has allowed me to, although it wasn't a big dream, it was a dream, but He has allowed us to achieve bigger. And for some of you all that have your dreams that it hasn't come to pass quite yet, please don't give up. Please do not throw in the towel. Please do not say that my dream is unreachable, because guess what? If God can do it for 2 kids from Oak Hill Plaza, God can do it for you. I say 3 kids because my daughter Knit was born in Oak Hill Plaza, and the rest of my siblings who have made it out of Oak Hill Plaza. Listen, you all, when I got married, we were still living in Oak Hill Plaza when I got married. Soon after that, my mom and my stepdad got married, and they were able to move from Oak Hill Plaza. And of course, my mom's quality of life and the rest of my families, of course, they change. Home ownership is beautiful, and it definitely gives you a sense of it changes some things. So I'm grateful that my mom was able to move her family from Oak Hill Plaza. And Mama, I know you, if you're not watching now, you'll watch later. I just want to say that I love you so very much, and you mean the world to all of us. We thank you for your sacrifices. We thank you for everything that you've done for us, that you continue to do for us. We thank you for the many nights that you will get up and you will go to work, and I know that you did not feel like going to work. I thank you for always giving your last. A lot of times the money wasn't there, but guess what? You made it happen. And my mom used to tell me that whenever I wanted money, I would always wait till she went to sleep and I would ask her for things, because she would always say yes. And so I thank you, Mama. I thank you for everything. And at the heels of my birthday, which I am turning 60 years old on Thursday, I say, Mama, I love you. Thank you for having me, you and my dad, for having me. I am a winner, baby. I was born at home. Mom said I was the only one that was born at home. She wanted to try it. And after that, she went back to the hospital and had the rest of her babies. But I was born on Castleberry Street in Nacogdoches, Texas, to, I think, one of the most beautiful ladies that I could ever wish and hope for as a mama. So, Mama, I love you. And when I talk about dreams and I talk about dreaming bigger and having aspirations, I could not have done it without having you as a mom, because you pushed us to believe that we could do anything that we wanted to do. One of the things that I remember, living in Oak Hill Plaza, my siblings and I, my sisters especially, we didn't get out of the house just a whole lot. And while I'm thanking everyone, my mom, I have to say, my hat's off to my sister Grace, my oldest sister Grace, who also just had a birthday in December 16th. Grace was that second mom. I say mom was maybe the bark and Grace was the bite. Because Grace kept us in line. My mom had to work and Grace kept us in line. So Grace, I thank you. I love you so very much. And I just want to say, from the little girl that came from Oak Hill Plaza, I appreciate you all grandstanding with Mother Teresa on tonight. You all have a great night. And again, I look forward to visiting with you all on next week. I hope that you all have a great Christmas. even if you don't get everything that you want. Thank you, Sister Scott. Thank you. If you don't get everything you want, just know that, hey, if you keep living, it's not too late. Some of you all can go and purchase what you want. If you don't get it from somebody else, just go buy it. And if not, just wait on it, okay? Just wait on it. We should be thankful that we have breath in our body, that we can get up and we can just say, I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. Thank you, honey. My honey is so good. You all, I was not intending to do all of this whining and crying and tearing up on tonight. But when I started talking about dreams and aspirations, and I started talking about my mom, and I think about the childhood, and I think about everything that God has blessed me with, to see, to experience, you all, I can't help but to let the tears flow. Because when I say God has been good to me, God has been so very good to me and my family. And so again, I'm going to close again and say, I'm going to say thank you all for grandstanding with Mother Teresa. We will see you all the next time. Y'all enjoy your night. Good night, everybody.